Hi there, I'm David D'Angelo. Welcome to my program, The 77 Laws of Success with Women in Dating. Over the last several years, I've learned a lot of different things about how to succeed with women in dating. And I guess the best way to describe all of them as a bunch is to say that they all fit on different levels. And what I found is that when different guys approach learning how to become more successful with women in dating, they usually approach it at the level that they think they need or they think is the answer, instead of addressing all of the levels. And so this program is designed to be both an introduction to some of my main ideas and also kind of a reminder or a refresher course or a warm-up course if you've already gone through many of my programs. And the way I've organized this is I've taken 77 different ideas, and I'm just going to give them to you one after the other. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes talking about each one. And my intention is that you'll take this program and you'll go through it on a regular basis to just remind yourself and to drive these ideas deep into your mind. You can also use this program almost like a set of affirmations or a refresher course. Anytime you need it, you can just go back, pop it in, kind of load your mind back up with all of the most important ideas. So let's go. To begin with, I want to talk about some ideas that I consider to be the big picture, the theory. These will affect your paradigm with women. Number one, accept everything the way it is. Accept everything the way it is. The reason that this is number one is because I believe most people don't accept the world, they don't accept reality, they don't confront things as they are. They wish the world was different, they wish women were different, they wish their situation were different. And so they whine and they bitch and they complain and they act like a victim. And they do things that are ineffective because they're living in a pretend world. Step one, close your eyes, accept everything the way it is. Just accept things. Once you've accepted things the way they are, and you've confronted reality, now you can start to change things. Now you have power to redirect how things go as you live your life into the future. Number two, take responsibility. Transform your perspective from someone that's at effect in the world, someone that's a victim, and transform yourself into someone that makes things happen, that's responsible for their thoughts, their actions, their behavior, and their results. And anytime you catch yourself trying to put responsibility for what's happening in your life outside of you, stop and say, I take responsibility. Especially in those moments where it's easy to blame things on someone else. That's the most powerful time. By taking responsibility for your life and everything in it, your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, your results, your relationships, you'll much better be able to affect change and get the life you want. Number three, go to work on yourself, not on women. In the self-help world, I've read a lot of self-help books and gone to a lot of the seminars and what have you. And a common theme is that you can't change other people. You can only change yourself. There's a lot of wisdom here. Now, nothing's ever entirely true, and I don't think that you can't change people all the time. I think if you really spend a lot of time learning how people work, you can sometimes help them change. But I also think that if that's your primary mode of dealing with the world, that you are playing in a losing game. If when things aren't going your way, your first thought is, let me go try to change other people, you're going to beat your head up against the wall over and over and over and over and over. And if you want to become more successful with women in dating, stop trying to make the woman or the women change and start changing yourself. If you change yourself, your perspective changes, your results change. Number 4, evict your inner wussy. Evict your inner wussy. What do I mean by evict your inner wussy? I mean show up and kick it out. Go through a formal process if you have to. Spend time working on it. In the real world, sometimes the eviction process doesn't exactly go smoothly. Sometimes the tenant wants to just stay and mooch as much as they can and suck energy. Sometimes the tenant feels like a victim and is getting a secondary emotional payoff from this whole process. You need to evict your inner wussy. You might need to think about some of those secondary emotional payoffs that you're getting for being a wussy, or for having that wussy live inside of you, or that part survive. You might need to identify those. Yeah, when I whine and complain, my mom gives me attention. Or when I bitch and complain about things, I don't have to feel responsible for them. I can tell myself about how bad other people are, and I can complain about it to myself and just kind of stew in my own pity. And that gives me a mild feeling of superiority over others. And while I'm in that I'm better than you thought process, I don't have to pay attention to what else is going on. And I get to feel a little bit superior. Get rid of that stuff. Evict your inner wussy. Stop being a wussy. 5, build a powerful, capable self-image that you love. Build a powerful, capable self-image that you love. What is a self-image? Sounds like a picture of yourself that you carry around inside. That's it, but you've got to realize that since you have a complex, intelligent brain inside your head, you're capable of what you might think of as a multi-dimensional image. Multi-dimensional. That has all different types of qualities and different amounts. And I ask you to consider the type of person that you'd like to be. Get a clear picture of that person in your mind. Reflect on it on a regular basis. Ask yourself the question, am I the type of person that I'd like to be? And if the answer is no, figure out what that is and clarify it over time. And make that image bigger and clearer and so compelling that you want to move toward it. The clearer you can make the picture, the more likely you are to be able to achieve it. And the more you go through this exercise of building a powerful, capable self-image, the more you'll grow. The faster you'll grow. And the more attractive you'll be to women, naturally. Number 6, move your frame of reference inside. Some kind of behavior and motivation specialists and thinkers, psychologists, they've come up with this distinction in humans, and what they've discovered is that many or most people have what they refer to as an external frame of reference. They're constantly looking around at the world and to others for cues about whether they're doing the right thing, they're in the right place, they're thinking the right thoughts, they're wearing the right clothes, they're saying the right things. There's another group of people that have what's referred to as an internal frame of reference, or an inner locus of control. And instead of looking outside to figure out whether or not they're on the right page, they look on the inside to figure out whether everybody else is on the right page. If your frame of reference is inside, if you are making the decisions about what's right for you and your life, and then you are using the tools and the people and the situations you have around you to help you achieve the visions that you have for your life, you will be a lot more effective. You'll also be a lot more powerful. You'll have a lot more charisma. You'll have a lot more energy to attract other people. Move your frame of reference inside. Number 7, stop making identity meaning out of external events. Now, what do I mean by identity meaning? Identity meaning. Well, we talked about this idea that you have a self-image inside of you that you carry around. Imagine that you have a picture on the wall, and you walk up to it, and maybe it's a picture of you smiling. You take a little black marker and you black out one of the front teeth. And then you draw some wrinkles on it. And you make it look like a derelict. What effect does that have when you look at the picture? Instantly you have a little different gut level response. Well, we humans do something that's approximately like that whenever an external thing happens, like maybe someone disapproves of us, they don't like what we're doing. Instead of just saying, oh, they disapprove of us, whatever, that's their issue, we internalize it and we make it about us. And then we go further and we actually make it about who we are as a person. We attach that to our self-image. We identify that with ourselves. And we make identity meaning out of it. So instead of just saying, oh, that person disapproved of what I did, fine. They can do whatever they want. We say, oh, they disapproved of us. Wow, people probably don't approve of me. Wow, I probably don't deserve approval. I'm the kind of person that people don't approve of. And we generalize. And then that becomes our identity. So stop making identity meaning out of external events. Number 8, eliminate failure by learning from it. I've spent a lot of years of my life working on my own head and working to get this whole notion of failure out of my system. A big epiphany that I had was that failure is an invented concept. Humans invented the concept of failure. We made it up. Just as surely as we made up any of the other ideas that we've invented. Again, the problem comes when we start thinking in terms of attaching meaning to failure. Computer programmers will say that something failed, which means that the routine didn't process correctly. There's maybe a bug in the software that prevented the program from doing what it was supposed to, and that's a failure. But it's kind of a logical, objective kind of thing. Well, we humans do that, take that concept and we apply it to our minds and we go, oh, I failed. And instead of thinking about it logically and objectively, we then generalize and make it about our identity again. And then we say, I'm a failure. And if you ever get to that point where you are a failure in your mind, that's going to take a ton of work to undo that. So I went to the core and said, well, how can I just eliminate this whole notion of failure? Because it doesn't really exist. And by doing that, I think I've really liberated myself from a lot of things. What's the best way to eliminate anything you perceive as a failure? Stop, look at the experience, and think about what you've learned from it. And then compare the lesson that you got to the price that you paid. And I think you'll always realize that the lesson was a bargain. It's always a bargain. Number 9, compare your progress and success only to yourself, not to others. There's a word that a lot of us use, especially men. Men tend to be attracted to this word and this concept. And the concept is winning. Winning. Dennis Waitley did several programs on this decades ago with Nightingale Conant, and wrote books all about winning. And he said, everyone wants to be a winner. Universally, we all want to be winners. Jack Welch, the greatest kind of management god of all time, wrote a book called Winning. And he talks about how it feels good to win. It feels good to be a winner. And the more I analyzed it, the more I realized that there are really two types of winning. One is the type where you get the thing that you set out to get. You achieve the end result that you wanted. The other type of winning is that someone else lost. You beat the other person. Does that make sense? One type is you achieving what you wanted to achieve, and the other type is you beat somebody else. And what I found is that if you spend your life trying to beat everybody else and not trying to achieve what you want to achieve, you may have a lot of those wins where you beat other people, and then you might wake up one day and go, wow, I've been beating all these other people, but I'm not getting what I want. On the other hand, I think if you figure out what you want in life, you dedicate yourself to it, you find your own path, and you really stay on it, and you achieve the things you want, and that's how you win, I think you'll look back and you'll say, you know what, it doesn't really matter whether or not I beat anyone else. That's really irrelevant. So as you're progressing in your life, in your own situation, as you're learning how to become more successful with women in dating, don't look outside yourself and say, wow, that guy's doing better than me or that guy's doing worse than me. Compare your progress to your own self and look to win by achieving the outcome that you want. And if you find yourself comparing your results to others, stop for a second, look back at how far you've come. Look at the progress you've made compared to where you started. Run your own race. It's more fulfilling in the long term. And I think that ultimately it'll help you get where you're going faster. 10, evolve constantly and consciously. Always seek the next level and paradigm. Evolve consciously and constantly. I was talking last week to a guy who's considered one of the greatest management kind of thinkers ever. And he was talking about a book where in the book, it was a book about psychology, I think, and the writer was talking about how we're all on the train tracks and the freight train is coming and it's going to get us. And what we do is we look down and we try to distract ourselves the whole time so that we don't look up and ever really realize it fully. A lot of people look at life as just toil, and it really doesn't matter what we do. One of the gifts I think we have, whether you think of it as luck or a blessing or just fate, one of the, I think, positive things about life is that you can't out-evolve your lifespan. There are enough levels to keep evolving to that if you want to keep going, you can continue forever, all the way to the end of your life. You're not going to run out. I've worked on this problem. I've asked enough kind of older, more mature people that have played this game. So if you want to have higher and higher levels of fulfillment, joy, happiness in your life, continue to evolve. Keep doing it. Keep looking for the next level. Keep asking yourself, okay, here's where I'm at. What's the next level, and how do I get there? And what's the next level, and how do I get there? And don't ever get up on your soapbox and say, I've arrived now. And if you ever find yourself in a group of people who are all kissing your ass and worshiping you, that's your signal that you need to go find some other people who could give a damn about your current level of success, because they're way beyond, and they'll help pull you to the next level. Hopefully give your ego a little kick in the ass and knock you down a little bit too. But in an encouraging way, of course. Always seek the next level in paradigm.